Craig, if you'll advance the slide to.
Sorry, go for
it. All right. So, Craig? Did you have?
Hold on. Citrix is kind of on the brink today. Repeat that.
Craig, was there anything on housekeeping that you needed to talk about?
I'm gonna unmute everybody, but if you hear feedback, go ahead and mute yourselves. If you hear whispering, if you hear dinging, just go ahead and click that microphone to the left of your name on the attendee list. Other than that, it's y'all's show, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it.
We've already done introductions. We thought an interesting topic, and I think we talked about this last time a little bit, would be to talk a little bit about community engagement. Gonna do anything more than kind of set the stage and then kind of let everybody chime in as they want to. When we're talking about community engagement, you know, especially since we have more a more emphasis on getting a wider variety of people to the table. We wanted just to find out how everybody is getting those players to the table that don't normally sit on anything to do with homelessness issues, like downtown business alliances, police, in any other type person that's outside of the homeless service provider world. So I'm interested in hearing your engagement strategies. And I think that, well, we'll see how this goes, and then I have a possible other topic to talk about too. Anybody want to jump in? Cindy Crane? How do you engage people to get on the CoC?
I think that, I mean, it's easy to get the providers, right? And it's, I looked at some of the provider former board members, because they're going to tend to be your bankers and your lawyers and your business types and faith-based participants. So just so they wouldn't double up, we asked all the executive directors of the main shelters and the main places, say, who's rolled off your board in the last 3 or 4 years but you believe still is engaged in some capacity, but because of the restrictions of your bylaws, they had to roll off, so that I could get people who were interested in enough and that were not providers. That was one mechanism for recruitment.
Oh, that's awesome. Anybody else?
Hi, Ken. This is Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
We have more of a difficulty time. That's a really good idea of past board members. Our police department here, we have a really strong influence with them. They have started a thing called a NET team, a neighborhood enrichment team or enhancement team. And so that being a concern in the community, if they see a homeless person or whatever, both of our cities' police departments are real involved, and they're starting those NET teams. I don't know who else has them across, but we get the NET officers at our meetings regularly.
Oh, that's great. Is that the NET team something that your police force came up with, or decided to implement on their own, or was there any pushing from the continuum to get that done?
They kind of consulted with us and said, you know, they'd already had wanted to do it and said if we set up this net team, it's been in effect maybe like 3 or 4 years, and would y'all be a good like referral or helpful to us when community members are concerned about homelessness. So we started working closely with them when they had calls or referrals, or they just met someone camping. You know, we started trying to assist them as much as we could, and it just kind of built from there.
Awesome. That is a great strategy. I was going to welcome Camille Castillo. And Camille, we're talking about how to engage people in our communities to be involved with the CoC.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay. So anybody else have a strategy? Cindy Crane's strategy of talking to board agencies that are part of the CoC to see who on their board has recently rolled off that might be a good fit to be on the CoC board or sit at the CoC table. And then the police, Sandra mentioned the police neighborhood enhancement teams that the CoC helped to kind of get off the ground. Anybody else?
So in the balanced state, we have many cities, units of local government that we can work with. Oftentimes they're not involved heavily with their local homeless coalitions, or much less us as a CoC. So what we want to do, we're not doing this as much as we would like. I think there's probably one area where we do have the engagement of that local city official. We want to use data and local reporting to encourage those folks that are managing ESG. I mean, they should be involved anyway, but managing the community development programs to become more involved with our CoC, be a part of our decision-making process. So right now in Denton, we have someone who's very interested in what we're doing and very interested in the data, but we need to foster that interest in other communities or throughout the continuum of care. So that's one thing that we will try to be working on over the next year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, Eric, how do you expect them to use the data in different communities, though?
Well, that's something we're still working on. You ask a question that's I can't really answer right now. Daniel Shaw at the City of Denton, she manages the ESG program, so she's able to pull community reports for all of her ESG sub-recipients. So that's what she's doing. But she's asking for a more detailed report, a report that looks at the metrics that they've outlined as goals for their Denton County Homeless Coalition. So that's something that we need to put together not only for that community, but for all of our communities. So we need to come up with a useful report that they can use to measure their progress and therefore our progress overall as a CoC. Notice I said we still need to do that, so that's not something we are doing overall.
Awesome. Who else has a strategy for community engagement?
This is Cindy. It's kind of less about filling my board, but just continuing your good old general citizen participation and community education. We're when I went to NAH, we saw that movie. What was the movie we saw? It's called Lost Angels. And I did this a couple of years ago. I bought a film, and so the end of September 28th, got the University, TCU, and this church film series to host a night to see this movie and do a screening and then do a dialogue afterwards with some key people, just to try to get some new audiences into the story and into the awareness circle. of homelessness. And it's a real easy event. I had to pay the little licensure fee and then just hand it off to the university system to put it all together. So trying to make sure I do things like that a year that are real broad, open, accessible, public, free, to try and draw in more people.
Great. Have you, so when you did that, did you get any pickup on your CoC board or just general meetings?
When we did the original one for, we actually did a movie. There was a movie about Dr. Jim O'Connell. I did it, I guess it's been almost 2 years, like Medicine on the Streets, or I can't remember the name of the movie. Paid that, and then we ended up bringing in a very engaged, impactful way, JPS Health Network, which is, our public hospital, in a way that never had before, that really just quadrupled the efforts toward our homeless dental program. So it was really to engage them on a particular issue that would be, healthcare. So that's why I knew this time. I'm not sure. It's really, this particular movie called Lost Angels is really about Skid Row, but it could easily be, kind of our homeless district area. You could just call it East Lancaster. So I'm hoping it brings in more city-type people. We're trying to really get a much more focused affordable housing committee actually produce, to help us in developing more units of housing so they could see that deconcentrating this area of the community is important. So that's, I'm hoping to engage those more developers and bankers and folks like that with this story of trying to provide housing rather than centralizing so much, centralizing this, an alternative shelter, I guess. So I have no idea. It doesn't happen until September 28th, how successful.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. But, at the very least, it seems to me that is raising community awareness, whether or not it actually pans out as more engagement on your with your CoC. At least more people are aware of homelessness and how the things that we can do to alleviate that.
Ken, this is, oh, sorry.
This is Nancy T. with San Antonio Bexar County.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. I just wanted to notate on our part in terms of general membership, and one for our board, our CoC board, but general membership did ask us here in San Antonio, the county, the collaborative applicant. And so we really make sure that, because we are also the grantee for Ryan White funds, and then we're also an entitlement community for CDBG and home. And so now we have our planners for our Ryan White program and our analysts for our CDBG and home attending our general membership meetings, because on the Ryan White side, in our applications and even in their own planning council, there's quite a bit of information that they need to provide in terms of people that are homeless and people that are in shelters. And so while we were glad to give them the data, we told them it would probably be more relevant for them to start attending the general membership meetings, and of course the board meetings and subcommittee meetings, so they can hear themselves as they put together their plans and their documents what's happening on the homeless side. The same is true for our CDBG and our home folks. We recently, as a county, became a ESG entitlement area once again. We hadn't been an entitlement area since early 2000. So we told them, again, we don't just want to pass information on to you when we say that we should be working together on our consolidated plan and what we're going to be doing in our ESG. That means coming and talking to them and them hearing from you on what we're doing before we do it, rather than just saying, here's our plan, and that was the input. We also were able to bring to our CoC board a actually the regional director from our Adult Protective Services. She had been visiting over the last 2 years our Haven for Hope campus and learned about people that are disabled and people that are elderly that are there in those campuses. And so when we were reaching out to have someone from the state, she was she was really interested in coming on board because she hadn't realized how many of the people that she's already working with that are in shelters. So those are some of the things we've done so far to try to get other people interested in our CoC.
Oh, those are excellent ideas. Thank you, Nancy.
And this is Mary. Nancy, I wanted to say that that was one thing I've heard a lot recently, is to take a look at which groups are already serving a lot of the same folks that your agencies are serving in the CoC. And sometimes it is really surprising, like, wow, these are so many of the same people that we serve in this other arena. And so it's exciting to hear that that's working out in your area. I heard a couple of other things at the National Alliance to End Homelessness Conference a few weeks ago. One was a suggestion to try to engage a new group or a new person by asking the group or the person to do a specific task and sort of give them a flavor of what the coalition does or the CoC does. And that oftentimes sparks an interest in that person, and they want to learn more and do more. And specifically, one of those tasks was to have or ask a group that has meeting space if your CoC could meet in their space. And I thought, oh, that's a really great way to sort of break the ice in a way where you're not banging people over the head with the message, but you're just saying, hey, this is our group, this is what we do, could we use your meeting room space? And sometimes that, again, sparks conversations where people choose to get more involved. And then, of course, reaching out to faith communities who do a lot of maybe providing food or clothing or meals or food pantry type things, or even some that do small amounts of rental assistance or utilities assistance. They might, if you haven't already tapped into that group, there might be some real opportunities there, and then oftentimes they have the backing of their entire faith community, and so that can really spread the word quickly.
Great. Thanks, Mary. I think that this is something that we all struggle with, whatever we're doing, but especially with the continuum of care, because there's so many people that need to be at the table to help us end homelessness. And I really liked what you had to say, Nancy, about the involving the Ryan White Planning Council, the HIV Planning Council. That is probably only going to apply to the larger cities, but that's a good group to get their involvement. Terry Holtkamp, I'm putting you on the spot. What do you do to engage people in your CoC?
Ms. Holtkamp needs to use the pen. She's muted right now.
Okay.
There, she's good now. Go.
Can you hear me, Terry?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry we're late.
No, that's okay. What's some of the strategies that you use to engage people with your CoC?
Engage people with my CoC. Boy, I just feel like I just walked into a party that I have no idea what's going on.
And you're the star of the show now.
Some of the ways that I engage.
We can circle back around to you if you want.
You. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. I can wake up a little bit here.
Who else has an idea or something that they do that may be different than some of the things that have been mentioned?
Ken, this is Camille.
Hi, Camille.
Hello. Just, we don't necessarily participate in too much engagement. We're lucky that they just come to us. So we're not out that much. I mean, so, you know, we have a wide range. We have the police department, we have the sheriff's department, you know, the adult protective services, dishes, and so we have a really good broad range of folks that participate in our CoC. You know, the difficulty that we have is well, specifically right now, you know, Rescue Mission, TxDOT took over the property where they're at, and so they're having to relocate. And then so we're getting a lot of backlash from the communities, and so they don't want these type of people in their neighborhood. So we're getting a lot of nasty, I guess, comments and opinions, and even and then including from the city council. So I think when Cindy was talking about the movie that she purchased, I thought that was a great idea about Skid Row. So I was Googling it right now. So, you know, I think that's a great idea, and it's trying to come up with a way to let them know that these people are not necessarily all bad people. There's social issues that you see in the neighborhood with people who are housed as well. So, but anyways, I just thought that was a really great idea.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think that we have a one of our duties is to help people understand that these people are somebody's brother, somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody's niece, nephew, and so, you know, just general education about homelessness can bring some more engagement from our communities.
This is Mary again. Craig, you had sent us a link to a video not long ago where different people were holding up signs that said, you know, I am an artist, or I'm a student in school and I'm homeless. It was a really short video that I've heard referenced a couple of times by other people who said that that really opened their eyes to better understand kind of the broad range of situations that people experiencing homelessness might be coming from and might be currently in. Is that ringing a bell to you, Craig?
It is, and I'll send it out right after this once I find that link again.
Okay. And kind of on that note of, we've talked about it over the years in terms of putting a face on homelessness, trying to introduce people who are currently or formerly homeless to people in the community directly so that they can know at least one person who's in a homeless situation and have a really positive experience that counters maybe some of the negative stereotyping. Also, I think when people better understand how many families, and specifically children, or even unaccompanied youth are in homeless situations, they're shocked. And so I think if we can help people see that it's not only single adult individuals, but lots and lots of families and lots of children probably in their own school districts, I think that can really be an aha moment for a lot of people.
Very good. Thank you, Mary.
Ken, I've actually got something. We're 5 months away from the point in time count, and I've seen communities in the balance of state use that as one of their best chances to actually reach out into the community and pull in people that wouldn't have normally been involved, didn't really know how to get involved, and it was by simple things like hosting a dinner, having clients help feed. I've been to health fairs, I've been to service days, things that wasn't necessarily anything other than just come help out, lend a hand, get to know your neighbors, get to see that this is your community and it's not people that you just don't see.
I like it. Yeah, I was gonna. I'll follow up on that by asking, what kind of innovative things do people do during Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week?
This is Cindy Crane in Tarrant County. We hadn't done anything in years. We did a sleep out, with a lot of young college kids out in a place called Unity Park, and had homeless people there, and it felt too much like going camping. It wasn't like this as moving as an experience. But this year we're going to be launching a series of videos. They're just done. We finished them out, 12 different videos that I'm going to do through social media, and just sort of release one a week that culminates to right around, like the 16th of November, or like 16th to 22nd. And that during that time, I'm combining it with a fundraiser, and we're going to do a virtual banquet. I've had an idea so that people contribute money to TCHC, and then they get their password to go to a website. And the concept is save the money on the dress and the limo and the big meal, just give us money. But then you get to go see keynotes and these videos that we've developed, all of them in some sort of uncut versions of them and longer ones. And they just click on it and they see the videos of the keynote speech and a couple of things. And that will happen. That'll be open during that week of the 16th through the 22nd.
Oh, that's great. So sort of a stay-at-home party?
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Cindy, what software are you using to hold that?
I used to be a webmaster. So anyway, I'm using just, I think we use as far as like what's the platform for the videos in case you got a lot of feeds. Is it the Google Plus something or other? And I just got my developer just making a cool front end. I mean, I bought the URL, virtualbanquet.org, so they could just go there and then they'll have this little entry. And then, everything's programmed in SQL. And then they just go through a door, it'll be artsy looking door, and then they'll just select videos. So it's pretty simple.
Okay.
Embedded.
That is an awesome idea. Excuse me.
If this will be the year I launch it, I bought virtualbanquet.org, and it could be virtualbanquet.org/Dallas/Houston, and then everybody could do their own individual thing if they wanted to call me around that. I'm happy to hand it off. I'm using it to raise money.
So you have an Cindy, do you?
That's a very generous offer, Cindy. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I got distracted for a minute.
You have to do your own work, but there wouldn't be any reason to figure out, let's test it 1 year, see what works, what doesn't, and then we can, just make sure that you do your development and you just post your material to your own individual page, and it might be something cool that we could do every year around Texas.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, because I would like to do something that's like the same or very similar, and blanket the state during homeless and Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. I think it could be really a good thing that you talk to your cousin that lives in another part of the state and find out that they're doing something too at the same time that your community's doing it. Well, I think that maybe we'll circle back around and touch on this, give people kind of time to think through it. But while we are thinking through that and letting things percolate, let's go ahead, Mary, and give us an update on the statewide homeless initiative project and a general update on other things, I guess.
All right. Well, I can do the SHIP update for sure. That's our short name for the Statewide Homeless Initiative Project, and that is the project where TDHCA contracted with us to work with THN to work with all all EOCs around Texas on CoC readiness and ESG readiness. And so I know that many of you work directly with one of our consultants, Suzette Chapman, and if you'll remember, gosh, almost a year ago now, we did a poll and later a fuller assessment to kind of see where your CoC was in terms of being as compliant with HARTH Act and specifically the CoC interim rule as possible, and then how could we help you get further along by, I guess technically it will be Sunday, the last day of this year of the SHIP project. So I know Suzette told us, we had a debriefing meeting, all our staff and Suzette via phone because she's in near Corpus and Galveston. She said, and we got feedback from many of you via our survey, that you found the project very successful. Some of you got further along than some others. And I think one of the important things that we talked about as sort of a successful outcome of this effort, for some groups it was actually getting a lot of documentation written down for the first time or better organized. But that didn't happen to the same extent in every CoC because some groups were already further ahead than others. But what it really did across the board was encourage CoCs and help CoCs to really take a look at how are we doing what we're doing. Re-examining how is our CoC designed, how does it operate, are there things that we should reconsider because you know, our environment that we're working in changes so fast and our requirements change so fast. And so I think there was a lot of value in that piece of it as well. And I'm not sure at the beginning of the project that we conceptualized that as such an important piece of the whole project. So I hope that you found that within your own community, that you better understand what HUD is requiring of CoCs and maybe got some ideas of how you could do it better or differently, or maybe it confirmed for you that what you're doing in your CoC is right on track and works very well for your own community, and you just maybe need to make a few tweaks here or there. But I will say, if you have not responded to this survey that we sent and you want to, it's still available and we'd love your feedback. Anecdotally, we heard lots of great comments that Suzette's work was very helpful. The Case Management Institute and the Housing Summit were very helpful. These CoC lead phone calls were a great opportunity for you all to talk with your peers around the state. I think those were the highlights of year one that we talked about as a staff at THN. Certainly, if you all have any comments you'd like to share right now, that would be fine. Well, let me give you a minute to think about that. As we're looking at year two, sort of a year two of SHIP, although it's a little bit of a different project, we're going to be looking much more at ESG readiness. I think that was one of the main purposes of the first year, but once we realized in January that only Tarrant County CoC would be moving forward to implement or to administer their ESG within their CoC this year, we kind of backed off on the ESG readiness and focused a little more on CoC readiness. And so this next year, we'll be focusing more on ESG readiness. And that exact activities haven't been defined yet because the first thing that we'll do is do an assessment with all of you, all the CoCs around the state, and ask some similar questions. Where are you in terms of ESG readiness, and how can this second year of ESG readiness best help you to get to where you want to go in terms of administering the ESG starting in October 2015, so about a year from now. Ken, do you have anything you want to add to either the year one wrap-up or the year two preview?
Yes. So In conversations with TDHCA, I want to alleviate some of your fears that I can just kind of feel some things coming across the line. TDHCA has expressed a willingness to go slow on this, so don't be concerned that they are going to immediately do the full shebang. That they're not just going to say, okay, here's X amount of dollars, and y'all subcontract it out and pay for it and get reimbursement from us, and then we'll come in and monitor it. There's a much less of a rigid focus on doing that, and in making sure that that everybody is comfortable with, or all the COCs are comfortable with the amount of responsibility that they will have. So it will go from a possibility of it being just like it is right now for some COCs. Some COCs may be more like Tarrant County, where they do more of the administrative functions, and I would say most of the administrative functions, and anywhere in between. So they're not going to push the COCs to be somewhere that they're not ready to be. And I'm very appreciative of that. The other part of the we also received some funding to provide a statewide homeless initiative project 2. So just to be a little bit more confusing, this one, so we have the first one where we worked with COCs on COC development. Then the extension of that is working with ESG. And then the other funding we got from TDHCA that really applies to you all is project development. So we will be helping through providing technical assistance, continuums, develop projects, and probably it's going to be specific agencies within the COC that we will work with and provide TA. And I'll tell you right now, our focus is going to be on programs that will be providing housing first, and rapid rehousing and harm reduction models. That is clearly the 3 things that will help us end chronic homelessness. And so those 3 areas are where we'll be focusing. What we'll do is in early October, we will send out a letter of intent and ask that you distribute that to your mailing list. And so we'll ask for basic information about the project that the agency wants to develop. So be thinking about which agencies you have been talking with about developing new projects, and then work with them, please, on filling out this letter of intent. then the process from there will be we will look at the letters of intent. We will choose probably around 10 agencies to provide direct technical assistance. We will do that over the course of the rest of 2014 and 2015. I expect most of the technical assistance to really start after the first of the year, but in some cases it may go earlier than that. Also, with these funds, we'll be hosting another housing summit. I believe that is April 1st and 2nd, 2015, so mark that on your calendars. We'll also be doing another case management institute. I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to help, but we should be able to help at least with some travel funds to get case managers to the Case Management Institute once again. And we'll be revamping that and really tightening that up and hoping that it will be something that we continue on a long-term basis.
And what was the date on the summit, the housing summit?
It's April 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
And Homeless Awareness Day at the Capitol, because remember we're in session this spring also. Homeless Awareness Day will be the afternoon of April 2nd. All right. Anybody have any questions so far? Have we thought of any other further tools for community engagement?
Ken, it's Terry.
Hi, Terry.
I don't know. I hope I'm not saying something other people have already done, but because we were late in on the conversation. But one of the things is we've listened to both sides of the issue. A lot of time with downtown improvement districts or businesses downtown or wherever the homeless may frequent, you'll have a totally different issue for their reasons for wanting to get rid of homeless rather than the Homeless Coalition's issues. And so we've really tried to listen to both issues and find out a reason for them to join our coalition based on those issues. Even if it's to keep them from sleeping outside their business when they feel like it's hurting their business, it's still a good way to team up and basically educate them about how that's got to be done, but they're willing to join your coalition a lot of times just to make sure it does get done. They have a whole different reason for wanting the outcome, but still the outcomes are the same, and that's to get people off the street. So we've done a lot of that where we listen to what their griefs are and then move on. One of the ways we did that was through a panhandling campaign where we basically gave businesses a little trifold to tell them where they could hand those to the homeless, tell them where they could get help. Now, of course, we can add coordinated access to that piece that we've never had before. But we also have the campaign that says fair change doesn't equal real change, and know the facts about who can best make that change for folks and help them get the help that they need through giving your money to local agencies versus in the hands of a panhandler. And then just knowing the difference, we'd done a survey with panhandlers just to find out if we were on the right track. Why are you panhandling? What do you do with the money? Blah, 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 blah. That was pretty interesting stuff. And we found out most of those at the time were not homeless. Another thing was always making sure, this is one that I live and die by, but also it's a love-hate relationship, is making sure that you always give your cell phone number to the media and you always return their calls, regardless. It's your own call kind of 24/7, because that can really help you if you need to run a story or anything. We use our WCC Channel 10 here to do any kind of talks about anything that's going on. We just did one this past week with the Waco Visioning, so it really doesn't have anything to do with homelessness per se. We did it with Cheryl Pooler and myself with WIC to just talk about how using RHMIS with WIC is part of the visioning piece. It's collective impact, and so we don't just stick to the mainstream homeless groups to go speak to, whether that be churches or whatever. We try to think outside the box and where could we talk about how this is a collective impact. We do a lot of interactive skits and role plays when we go talk to Kiwanis clubs to kind of get them involved. I've used a thing where, have you ever seen a homeless person? Have you ever been homeless? Blah, 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 and then pull people up and go, I need somebody to be a jogger in the park. I need somebody to play homeless. I need somebody to be a fire, somebody with EMT, fire, doctor, nurse, and then kind of go around to why it's so expensive. And you can do that with all sorts of things that you're trying to do, whether it be leaving a hospital and you're homeless and getting discharged on the street, and what would you do to being put in jail with mental illness. There's all sorts of things that once a person plays that role, it's a whole different change for them. We use the homeless game to do a lot of that as well. We try to think out the box whenever we do our Project Homeless Connect Day, and we've had like baseball teams from high school that have come in and done some things with their coaching staff. Our police chief, based on making sure that we had ex-offenders on our reintegration roundtable, now chairs our roundtable, which if that's not an oxymoron, I don't know what is. Where you have your police chief that's chairing your reintegration roundtable, which is pretty
I love it.
Yeah. And then as far as some of the campaigns that we've done on a weekly type basis, we've rented the movie theater and shown a film about homelessness. They're taking tours of the farmers market, or they're about to. They have a night out where people spend the night out on the street. We do a crop walk or a homeless walk. Just any number of things where you can tour like agencies, or you could do like treasure hunts and find this or this or this. There's a plethora of different ideas and things that you can do as far as outreach goes. But that's just some of the things that we've done.
Thank you, Terry. That I really like how you started off with everybody has a vested interest in ending homelessness. Their vested interest may not be the same as ours, but if you can talk to them, come to them from their world and say, yeah, especially with businesses, yeah, we know that you don't want homeless people hanging out in front of your business, so help us end this and get people a place to live so they're not hanging out in front of you. Thank you so much for all those suggestions, all those good ideas that you're doing.
You're welcome.
So as far as these phone calls, I think we decided not to have a phone call in September because that's just right before the conference in San Antonio, the Texas Conference on Ending Homelessness. Some of you may have heard about it. So we will meet there in person. If you're not going to be able to be in person, please let me know, and I will. We will arrange for you to be able to call in. But that will be on
Wednesday,
October the 1st.
8:30 to 11:30 a.m.
8:30 to, well, yeah. The first part is just going to be continuum of care leaders, and then the Texas Interagency Council for the Homeless meeting is at 10 o'clock, and that will be, the CoC leaders are invited and encouraged to attend that also. What I would also like to know is topics that you would like to have discussed on these monthly phone calls, or whether you want to continue having monthly phone calls. Is this something that's useful to you, or a waste of your time? Do we need to have them monthly, quarterly? You know, we're here to help y'all. So let us know how we can best do that. You don't have to speak up right now if you don't want to, but be thinking about it for the meeting in October, or send me an email, ken@thn.org, if you have suggestions for topics or suggestions for how we can better facilitate this.
Ken, this is Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I love about the conversations that I would like to get a little more detail from is, like Cindy Crane, some of these groups that are already implementing some of these projects, just to kind of get a feel for how's that going, what is that like, what mistakes have been made, what could help us down the line, where the biggest, I hate to use the word headaches, but that's kind of what they are, where the biggest headaches have been or challenges, and what she could share moving forward. I know just her statement alone that we laughed about so much was, she said, well, I used to be popular. I couldn't like that. But I think that's good to hear when you're in the depth and the midst of all this stuff. How do you cope, and what things are really working well, and where do you see different, you know, especially challenges? And I think for a smaller CoC, whether, you know, you're balanced estate and you're just a CoC leader, whether you're a continuum of care, those things really come in handy to know if we can get some folks to share some information like that.
Absolutely.
This is Cindy. I would say well, first of all, you know, get to know LinkedIn and get your profile looking fabulous for job offers. We are, just to give a real quick update on the ESG process, we did our local competition, the RFP point system, made the announcement on Friday. I'm excited on one thing, is we were able to use this innovatively to be able to provide some very direct linkages between homeless women who are being abused while they're homeless, and come up with a mechanism to find alternative emergency shelter further away from where the perpetrators, often on homeless crime. And we also are going to be creating an evening weekend street outreach team, which we've never had, and been able to find resources to do it. So that was a good thing, is that we were able to address some of the gaps that have been long known. The negative part is because our scoring system was different than the state's, meaning that we did not give a whole lot of extra points if you had a prior contract with the state, that one of the agencies who had long time received money from the state didn't get funded this go around. And that was, you know, a minor earthquake in our community. And as I had done when I did the briefing prior to applications, I said, the state didn't just change this to change this. The state wanted to make sure that ESG monies are really digging down and identifying gaps and services that are in your local continued care that you know about a whole lot better than they do. And as long as it was open and transparent, it is very exciting that we can start doing something that we needed to do that you can't do with CoC funds. So, you know, we're working through it, and the contracts, we're about to go into contract phase now. But it was unanimous. The board CoC did sort of affirm the decision of our allocations committee. because it's a committee, so there didn't need a second. So we did that, and now we're going to contract phase.
Awesome. So maybe one of the things that we can talk about is at the October meeting is maybe even more of a detail report from how this is going from Tarrant County's perspective, because I think that will go a long way towards alleviating some fears out there. If you would be agreeable to that, Cindy.
Absolutely.
Well, we are up against the hour. Does anybody have any parting thoughts, questions, comments?
This is Nancy T. with San Antonio, Bexar County.
Yes.
From our perspective, we'd like to continue with the monthly meetings. We find them helpful. So that's our input on that. In terms of the SHIP program, I found it very helpful to us in the sense that we had someone besides ourselves telling our CoC, you have to have written policies and procedures. So that was really good for us. We are a county, and so people are used to us being very bureaucratic and wanting things in a written form. But it was very helpful to have someone outside of us say, this is also so thank you.
Right. Well, good. All right. Well, if there's no other comments, I will look forward to seeing you all in San Antonio. And like I said, if you're not going to be able to be there in person, please let me know, and we'll arrange for a conference bridge to be in there. Y'all have
Ken,
a great...
hold on.
Yes.
Ken, this is Mary. I'm sorry. I think you all can see my screen now. I have lots of pictures of different people on my screen. Are you all seeing that?
Yes.
Hmm?
Okay. So this is one of the videos that I was talking about, and Craig flipped it over to my screen. So it takes 1 minute, 23 seconds if you would like to watch it.
Yeah, let's watch it.
I can play it now.
Yeah, exit out with that little bit.
You know what? I'm not hearing audio. Let's see. I'm sorry. I've got it on mute.
I don't think you can. Oh, yeah, just mute it.
Mary, I'm not sure Citrix will show a third-party sound. So what I'll do is I'll send that link to everybody when we're done here.
All right. Could you all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
It's very powerful.
It is, and it's a really short video clip, so if you only have, 1 minute and 20 seconds of someone's time, you can show the video. I just thought it was really well done and so poignant.
Thank you for that, Mary. And Craig will send it out so you can get the music to it also.
This is Paula. I have a question.
Hey, Paula.
Since this is going to be sent to us, is this something that we can link to our websites?
I believe so. I think it's just a YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, so you can link to it there.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that we weren't violating any copyright laws.
Yeah, well, you can read the whole article. It was actually done by Portland. Let me see if I can get back to that screen on YouTube. Yeah, here we go. So this is what it looks like on YouTube. And it's called Cardboard Stories, Homeless in Orlando. So there you go.
Great. Yeah, it should be fine since it's on YouTube. In the public domain, so shouldn't have a problem.
And I'm sorry if you didn't hear the music. It's the song Royal by Lorde, if you're familiar with that one. But so it really adds a lot to the video, I think.
Great. All right, guys, have a great Labor Day weekend, and we will see you in San Antonio.
Have a great one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.